So I wanted to say welcome everyone to the Pilatesology book club. It's time to get started, and thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate everyone who comes out to spend this Saturday morning with us. It might not be morning where you are, but it's morning here. Before we start, I want to say special thanks to some important people that helped make this happen. To our Ryan and Marina, who are on the Pilatesology side, and they run the behind the scenes. And then Nicole, who was the first person to give me Lolita's contact. And she is the publisher of Eva Rinke's book, which Lolita was just speaking about. And she's so wonderful. And she's the one who started this connection. And then Amber, Danielle, Lillian, Sarah, Claire, and Gladys from Lolita's team, who have all been running behind the scenes on Lolita's end and making this collaboration happen. This is a free meeting for all Pilates and movement enthusiasts, geeks, and fans, hosted by Pilatesology in partnership with Perspire, Providence Pilates Center, and Authentic Method Pilates. We hope through this book club that you find fresh inspiration for your workouts and some rest and relaxation while reading and connecting with our community. You probably already know about Pilatesology because you're here, but for those who are not subscribers, it's an amazing resource for students and teachers where you can get unlimited streaming of classical Pilates for only $20 a month. If you have not already, I would highly recommend checking out their vast library of Pilates resources. My name is Nabi, and I'm the founder of Perspire, which is an iOS app designed to help independent Pilates teachers create amazing experience for their clients and thrive in the changing wellness market. It's free to download and use. And if you have any questions, I'm always here to give anybody a demo and help you sort that out. Our moderator today is Cheryl Turnquist. Cheryl Turnquist is a Power Pilates master teacher trainer and has studied Pilates since 1999. She's the proud owner of Providence Pilates Center in Providence, Rhode Island, which opened its doors in 2001. Cheryl was the genius behind our Pilates book club as another way to find clients and teachers, find a way for clients and teachers to connect over Pilates. And when I heard about her book club, I was so inspired. And so that's where we got together and started this Pilatesology book club. Our next books on September 23rd at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to discuss Cage Line with John Steele. And then our October book is My Grandmother's Hands, which is another interesting book about trauma and how that it like plays into race and racism. And then our book after will be The Last Great Walk by Wayne Curtis, which is the story of this one man's very long walk across the country and how that and how walking has really affected us and how not walking anymore can affect our body. So our speaker today is someone that needs no introduction, not only because we all just read her memoir, but because she is the one and only Lolita San Miguel. But for the sake of tradition, I'll say a few words. Lolita San Miguel was a featured ballet soloist with the New York Metropolitan Opera for a decade. She went on to found the Ballet Concierto de Puerto Rico and directed the company for 27 years. Lolita discovered the Pilates method after sustaining an injury, training at Carola Trier's studio and then with Joe himself. She's one of the only two people certified by Joseph Pilates to teach his method. And she was the impetus behind the now famous plaque honoring Pilates in his hometown of Mönchengladbach, Germany. Currently, Lolita lives with her husband Hiram in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, where she and her team run the Pilates Masters Mentor Program and Lolita's legacy with her disciples and training centers reaching across the globe. And I'm now going to turn it over to Cheryl, who will do some quick housekeeping.
Thank you, Nabi. And hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the Pilatesology Book Club with Lolita San Miguel. I'm so excited to get a chance to speak with her and discuss her very full memoir of her life. Just a couple things. If you are on this call, please go on mute if that's possible. And then we do want to make this interactive, so you can use the chat that's at the bottom, or there is a raise your hand icon in the reactions tab. where you could raise your hand and come on live. We'll do our best to get to everybody as best we can. But I do want to let you know that this is meant to be an interactive book club, so it's not just about me talking the whole time, okay? So with that, Lolita, thank you so much for spending the time this morning to come and speak with us. It's so great to meet you. And I've done some of your live classes over this whole COVID pandemic. And I'm so impressed that you one day said, I've never really used the computer much. I didn't even really do email. And here you are on Zoom, going for it, doing all these classes. You've created a whole program online. And what has that been like for you to suddenly do this?
Amazing. It's been a discovery of a new world that I had resisted. I really didn't want to go there. No way, no how. I mean, I had a little bitty phone that I loved. It had you close the clam, and that was enough for me. I could make calls and they could call me. But thanks to two of my disciples that are with us today, Amber Butler from Spokane and Danielle Armstrong from Florida, and where we've been working together. When COVID started, back in that those February, March days, nobody really knew what was going on. We were all rather worried, but it was an unknown factory. They came to visit me and they said, we've been told we have to close our studio. Mm-hmm. And they don't know for how long, and this is really serious. And what do you think we could do? Because, we cannot disappear for as long as this takes place. Mm-hmm. So they said, we think that you should go on Zoom. And I said, you must be kidding. What do I know about Zoom? I don't know anything about how even to turn on the computer. So they said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll do that. And you start the program and we have a class. Well, at that time we were doing like 6 classes, a daily class. And COVID kept raging on, and it became longer and longer. And then they said, well, we have the Pilates Master Mentor program that needs to be finished. So let's try it on virtual. And then we said we also have a legacy teacher training program that is hanging. They're also anxious, so we moved into that. So now we have the Lolita Pilates goes online, which we do classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so it's 12 classes a month and 2 workshops. And I do every Wednesday, and the girls do, I say girls, but they're excellent, very well-trained professionals, master teachers. They do Tuesday, Thursday, and the workshops, this is a different thing. Usually we explore for 2.5 hours. We will explore a subject or a person, a case study of somebody how has been helped with Pilates, or a client that was a special client with a special issue that we can all learn how to deal with. So that has been beautiful, and we are getting back into doing, and the studios are opened, and so some are coming virtual, some are going to the studio, and I don't know how it looks right there. You are where?
I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, and it's open, but things are changing rapidly again.
Rapidly. So, at this point, we are open, but we don't really know for how long.
Right.
Because it looks bad. It looks especially bad where I am in Florida.
Yes. Now, do you think in the very back of your book, I know you talked about, we hope that this doesn't last that long, but that online seems like it might be here to stay. What are your thoughts on that for the future? Do you think that there's a place for this online work?
Absolutely. I have decided that I am no longer going to be teaching personally at the studio. And I am just going to maintain my classes and maintain my disciples, who are my main concern, via Zoom, because first of all, it is so easy.
Yes.
And second of all, I can reach them all. You know, I cannot reach them to come to Florida very often because for many reasons, but
you can teach across the world, right? From Florida, which is
absolutely. And you know, I do have all over the world people and wanting to take a course or wanting to just come and get together and review and or continue. And I don't see when we'll be able to do that here.
I know.
It is taking a very big, risky chance.
Yes. There's a question in our chat. Do you think that Joe Pilates would have wanted people to teach on Zoom? What do you think he would have thought about this whole thing?
I don't think Joe Pilates would have wanted any of us to teach, if you want to tell you the truth. And
good answer.
And frankly, and I will tell you a small incident that I had with him. I came to Joe after being a client of Corolla Trier for 7 years. And Dr. George Henry Jordan, who I had gone to class, and I got accidentally hit behind the knee and threw the knee out, and I was sent to Dr. Henry Jordan at Lenox Hill Hospital. And he said to me, you don't need surgery. You just should go to this place that I never heard of and do these exercises. Well, nobody heard of Contrology. Everybody thought I was a little weird to go there and pay all this money, which was a lot of money for a dancer at that time. I'm talking 1958. To work out with this woman, but I fell in love with it and whatnot. So when we went to Joe's, Kathy Grant and I, to ask him to certify us after I had been certified by Corolla, I thought, I was worried. I was very worried that what I had been taught by Corolla was truly the right thing, as from his point of view. So, but I soon realized that no, Corolla was an excellent teacher, very meticulous. So I was okay on that. But there was one exercise that was different, and that was stomach massage. And when I Corolla placed the box in front of the shoulder pad, but Joe didn't use the box, and it was my job to bring the box, so I remembered that very clearly. But Joe used an oval pad, which still exists, in front of the carriage. So one day I was working out by myself, and I guess I wasn't really thinking, and I placed the box. So I was working out, I was involved with myself, and all of a sudden I see his feet, and I look up, and he looks down at me, and he says, "Where did you learn that?" I sort of opened my eyes, and I realized that I had the box, and I didn't say a word, and he said, "From that woman out there, back there, from that woman out there." And he was pointing in the direction of 58th Street, of course. And I didn't say anything. I just got up, picked up my box, and walked it back and got my pad and sat down. So that's when you say, how do you think Joe would feel? But at that time, while he was alive, Romana was teaching at Bendel's, and Kathy Grant, for a small while, was also teaching, and I was okay with him.
Mhm.
But there were very few that got that privilege.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
And what did the certification process look like when you were with Corolla? There weren't really, nothing like what we do today. Can you explain a little bit about what that felt like for you?
when I went to Joe's and with Kathy, and Kathy spoke and said, "We want to be certified by you," he said, "And what's that?" So she said, "Lolita was just certified by Corolla Trier." And he looked at me and he did axial elongation and turned his head and walked in the opposite direction. So I thought, well, that was that. But let me see. Your question was,
well, did you just sit and watch for a really long time until one day they said, "Here, go teach"? Or there were no manuals, really, anything written down like that. So what did it feel like to you?
There were no manuals. There was no video. You learned the same way I had learned dance.
Mhm.
You take lessons, you look, you remember, and you listen, and you're alert all the time. And we mostly remember. That's how we learned everything. We learned choreography from great choreographers that way. We had lab notation, which I had taken in high school at Performing Arts High School, but really it was very tedious. And so nobody really used it. But how Joe would react to being on Zoom? Well, that is a wonderful question. First of all, I mean, all of these electronic things back in 66, 65, when I was there, they were not as common as they are today. I mean, people pull out a camera and take a video and take a picture every 5 minutes,
Mhm.
So he was not really into watching television. And so he could not have begun to imagine what we are doing. Nevertheless, Joe was a person who believed in change. He was constantly tweaking his own apparatus. He was constantly making new apparatus to help clients with new issues. He was very open-minded in that sense of progress and how he thought he could improve. Well, there is no doubt. And Joe, besides that, he died penniless. So the studio, when I was there in his last year of life, was empty most of the time. And they didn't have any money. So this would have given him income. He also was very unhappy and depressed when he died because really no one knew him. Very few people. He had a group of followers that they would teach each other when he died while the place got together. But other than that very small group who kept the place going and the rent, and Clara, because Clara was the same age.
Right.
So therefore, I don't think he would have opposed Zoom if it was something that was going to benefit him. His method, make him known. He did everything he could, right? From teaching, trying to sell his apparatus at Macy's, to writing letters to President Kennedy, to going to the military, education, hospitals, everything. He was very proactive. But he said it very clearly. It's amazing how much he said so clearly. He said, "I'm 50 years ahead of my time."
And he was.
He was.
Yeah.
Right.
Lolita, there's a message in the chat from a Rebecca Scarlett, and she asks, how did Joseph run his studio? Did he do group classes or only privates? And she read somewhere that when you went to his studio, you had to know the choreography and he would come around and correct. Is this true?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, there was never, ever such a thing as a group class. He had 5 reformers when he didn't sell one, but generally there were 5. Everybody came and went whenever they felt like it. There was no appointment as such. So therefore, there were times that all 5 were taken. There were times that they all sat empty. So there, you never knew. We had a book and we were supposed to, they were supposed to sign the book, but they never did, and nobody bothered to tell them they had to, or most of the time we didn't even know where the book was. And so he he was disorganized, to put it in one word. The place was totally disorganized, not particularly clean or anything. I was the first to teach a mat class in the city of New York because Kathy and Grant invited me to. When you walked in, except if you had a very serious injury or issue, you just went into the big room and you were taught several moves. And you did them, and then you were taught another one. And we had these pictures on the wall that had the exercises and their names. And it may have been any one of the teachers would teach you. You didn't have this person teaching you every exercise. Right. You worked mostly on your own. When he insisted you learn the names of his exercises, and I insist on the same. And he threw Kathy Grant out of class, told her never to come back, because for a moment she had, you can't call it senior because she was a blank moment and couldn't remember stomach massage what it was. So he threw her out of class, and Clara said, come back tomorrow, he'll forget all about it.
Oh, did she? Did she go back? Oh, good.
Of course. And so it was very, very free in that sense. Was not immaculately clean like Corolla. It was, they paid us only in cash. Therefore, we used to put the money or give it to Clara. Of course, if Clara was there, they would pay Clara. But otherwise, we would take the money and then give it to Clara, who put it in her little uniform pocket. And that was the end of the bookkeeping. It was, I guess, in the cookie jar or the under the mattress.
And how do you think that changed through Corolla? Was it just her style? She wasn't taught business through Joe, obviously. You're
kidding? No way. She had a totally different mentality. She was very much of a business lady. And she was highly organized, right? And she had the books, and we were to tell the people, or as an apprentice, I was told to tell the person, they had a card, let's say so much for 10 lessons or 5, and this is your last lesson, or we had to let them know before the last, next to the last. This is your last lesson, just wanted to remind you. You have 2 more to go, and for a new card. So at Joe's, nobody ever knew, right? I didn't know who was a monthly client that paid for the whole month, who paid for the year, I guess some did, and who was weekly or per class. We had all of this, and we all know somebody handed us money who had taken a class, and we gave it over.
Ava Obenhaus wants to know, how long did it take you to learn all the exercises that Joe created? And did he change his teaching all of a sudden from one style to a different style without really giving rhyme or reason to why?
He did not really change his teaching from one to another. He was consistent on his principles. He was consistent on how he wanted his things done. And I went there at the beginning. I was with Corolla. I was mostly given exercises to rehabilitate the leg. So I was able to return to work in a month, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's how I fell in love with the method. And after that, I just kept going. And then I was work, yes, on the knee, but I would then work on other things as well. And in the apprenticeship, then I worked on everything, and I assisted on everything.
And how long did it take to watch or observe and do your own before you were able to, we would call it apprentice, but assist, before you could be on the floor to assist?
When I walked into Joe's, after he accepted us and all the paperwork was done, I walked in that day and he was there and he said, do your mat. I warmed up with my mat, and there was maybe one person there. He said, go to the reformer. I did my reformer, and that was that. I knew the work.
Yeah.
And thanks to Corolla, I knew it well, because my main worry was that, how much had she changed his work, and was I going to get help for that? So
thankfully, no.
And I'm grateful to her for that. But it takes years and years, and like I say, I'm still learning.
Still learning, right? We're all still learning, right? A couple of people would like to hear a little bit more about Clara. Could you talk a little bit about Clara for us, Lolita?
It's a pleasure to talk about her. She was lovely. She was the opposite side of Joe. She was tender. She was motherly, maternal. She didn't speak English as well as he did.
Oh, okay.
No, she didn't. She was shy about speaking, as a matter of fact. And she made up by being even more tactile. And her way of being tactile was almost molding you. And her touch was so wonderful. It gave you so much information. She was small, beautiful blue eyes, hair white, always wore her white dress. Always. We never saw Clara on a piece of equipment, believe it or not. Never. I've asked around, did anybody see Clara? Nobody. We guess when they first met, he must have taught her the method then.
Yeah.
Because she knew the work inside out as well as
she did.
And she taught it even better for one good reason. Clara had patience. Joe didn't. Joe told you twice. He'd say, do this. Sit down with it. Sit down, and he repeated. And then he was about to say the third time, and he'd go, turn his back. I'm not wasting my time if you don't hear me. That's the reaction. So then he would come around very quietly with her little white shoes, and she would place and interpret what he was trying to get you to do.
Mhm.
And then she would say, now you do that.
Mhm.
And anytime he threw somebody out, and he did that regularly, that person would usually go crying out the door, and she would go crying out, she would go after them, and she'd say, like she said to Kathy, don't mind him. He's old. He's cranky. You come back tomorrow and he will have forgotten everything. And it was
And he
true.
did, yeah. And it sounds like Corolla had some of those tendencies, like Joe. Am I correct?
Yes,
You mentioned in the book, yeah.
yes,
It was a
yes,
little challenging to work with sometimes.
yes. She was challenging, and what was most difficult for about Corolla is that she had great ups and downs, up and
Mm.
down. You never knew. When I used to run into Romana as Romana was leaving after her morning hours and I was coming in the afternoon, I'd say, what side of the bed did she get up on? Because you never knew what.
Mm.
And within the course of maybe an hour, she changed twice or three times in her mood.
Oh,
So
wow. Mm. That's hard to
very
work
hard.
with. Yeah.
I said, no, this isn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but she was excellent teacher. That you cannot deny. But difficult person.
Mm-hmm. At one point in the book, I'm just going to read two sentences, but you said Joseph Pilates did not seek a cult of followers that would dogmatically adhere to his word. Rather, he was a man who constantly pursued greater knowledge, who used his observations and intuition to modify and tweak his theories, exercise, and apparatus. And that I don't want to say led to, but that informed your motto of preserve and evolve. In that, I thought that was such an interesting discussion because it came out of your talk about classical Pilates. What are your thoughts about that? I love that you wrote that you said something one day to Ron Fletcher and Kathy about what was classical Pilates, and they said it was the latest Pilates nonsense. And I think sometimes it's become such a thing. What do you think about that now, as you've done this for over 60 years? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think in a way it's unfortunate because it has done so much to divide us.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love the method, I feel the same way Joe did, the whole world should do the method and do it well and follow his principles. And now I was there on his last year of life. So whatever was his latest thought, I received. Kathy and I received. The Corolla, Ramana, for one, was away in Peru for 15 years. Ramana was a dear friend of mine and colleague, but she was away for 15 years. When she came back, she went to work for Corolla in the same year that I went to Corolla as a client. Okay. Now, yes, she presented her work one way, and a wonderful teacher who knew her work very well. I present my work in another way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Joe was looking for this. He could not stand when people started to praise him too much, made him uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that he didn't have a big ego. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it sort of embarrassed him when people would. And I just don't see. I mean, I'm sure no two people are doing the same thing at the same time in the same way. I'm sure if you and I were together doing a class, I would learn something different from you, and you would learn something different from me. I believe in creative movement. I believe that we have to maintain the method dynamic. I believe that it's not a question of, like it was in my days, you go there, you look at the picture, you do everything in its order, you look at the next picture, and you go there every day and do the same thing. I don't believe in that. Okay? In that same order, the same thing. No, that's not for me. I also feel that why draw these
Divides.
yeah, it's
Divisions.
exactly what it does. It divides. So why do that? Why do that? Just you say to me, well, I'm classical. And I say, that means you're trained by Romana Kristanovska, a wonderful teacher. Now, that doesn't make that it was the very latest before he died, because it wasn't.
Right.
And she had been away for 15 years, right? And it was her interpretation, and it's as valid as a variation. She changed a lot. I change a lot. Romana was a dancer. I became a professional ballet dancer. And I have put in a lot of ballet into my work. Feet were very important to Joe. Feet are very important to me. Every class will use footwork, and I mean point, flex, the 4 sections of the foot, prehensile, all of that before you do anything else. And I feel people's feet are awful these days. You know, the fact of the shoes that we're wearing and the designers are creating. You cannot expect people to have healthy feet. At the same time, no one is giving that much importance to them anymore. Joe did. He had the foot corrector. He had the toe stretcher. We had rollers. We had balls. He thought of feet. He worked on feet.
Yeah, he took the time to do that work during his sessions. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's gotten pushed away, it seems.
Yes. And it's gotten pushed away, just, you know, like even the pedal has gotten pushed away.
Yeah.
And
so what do you think are our responsibilities? Many of us on this call are teachers, or certainly Pilates enthusiasts, or some of us have apprentices under us as trainers of teachers. What are our responsibilities to continue this legacy?
Okay. Well, we know we have his principles, right? And I think we have a responsibility to learn more anatomy and to learn, get more involved into that, because the method has gone into rehabilitation. We really are considered strongest when we are helping people with an issue. If you talk to the general public, and the doctors will always recommend Pilates for issues more than fitness or whatever. I'm not agreeing with that, but that's the way it has become. I think Pilates is for everybody. But our niche seems to be more in that direction. Your question was
I just thought what our responsibilities are, or where do you see Pilates going in the future?
well, I think we have a huge responsibility. And I say to all of you, I've done my bit. It's up to you now. Hello, do it. We are not where we should be. I feel we're way behind where I expected we would be. at this point. I mean, I went to Mönchengladbach to teach a workshop and to teach a PMMP. I said, I will go only if we go, I'll go to Germany to Dusseldorf, only if we go to Mönchengladbach and celebrate Pilates Day. When I went there, taught class, a lot of people, nobody knew Joe Pilates. Nobody in his hometown. I couldn't believe it. I was so hurt because all I could remember was him saying, you know, that he was sad and depressed because he had not accomplished what he wanted. And that he died with that in his head. He had not accomplished. In one breath, he'd say that. And then the next breath, he'd say, I know I'm ahead of my time. And someday they'll realize it. But when I saw this, I have to do something about it. So I made sure now everybody in the town knows who Joe Pilates is. All the government people know who he is. I held conferences. I placed a plaque where he was born. And now I pass the baton to Kathy Corey, and we're still active as soon as COVID allows us. I was asked one day, one of my disciples, where are his ashes? I said, I don't know. And she said, well, we'll find out. She started to research. We found out that they were at Ferncliff Cemetery and that they had his last, his ashes, and after he died, all of this was handled by the Masonic Society of New York because Joe was a Mason, and the same was done for Clara. So I organized something there. We all went. We paid homage. Mönchengladbach was 1 year Pilates Day, and Ferncliff we go the next year. And we go to New York. We have a great time. We party. And yeah, we're like Joe. You have to rest, play, and work.
There you go. Thank you. Judith asks, this is Judith from Barcelona. And what study device did Joe like the most? What do you think his favorite was? What apparatus or what small apparatus was his favorite?
That's a hard one. I cannot say he ever showed favoritism as such. He did not really teach mat in depth. For one reason, I guess mostly, we didn't have the space. It was so crowded in that room because he was constantly producing more. And the room could only take so much. And he would put out a new chair with a different little tweak or a little a spine corrector that was different. And we didn't have space. We had one mat that sat on the floor and another one that sat in like 14-inch legs. That was it. And he didn't really take the time. And we know mat is the basis for it all. But he really did not take the time because of the limitations, I gather, to teach mat, you know, like I teach mat.
Right.
And I go from A to Z. And everything really you can tie up to the apparatus. So I would say mostly he would take people right into the reformer.
Right. As the first thing to go to. Yeah.
Right into the reformer. Or if they look too weak, then he would take them to the Cadillac so that he could see them lying down, sitting up. So he would, he really had X-ray vision, and all he did was look at you, and then he would direct you to wherever he wanted to see you.
Kelly in Chicago asked, how do you feel about some of the changes to the equipment, to the reformer, to the chair? You know, there's a handful of major brands of Pilates apparatus out there, some that have substantial ability to change as opposed to the equipment that he used. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I do. I, for one, shock people when I say that, with all respect, I don't like the graps. And they say to me, how can you say that? You were trained in the original. I said, yes. And I loved it because I didn't know any better. I had nothing to compare it with. But I own, and this is not paid advertising, I own Balanced Body. I want it the easiest way it can be. I enjoy having my foot bar secure, staying in place. I remember very well how our leather straps used to crack.
Yeah.
My loops don't crack. I push a little thing aside and my loops adjust. I don't even have to adjust loops, which was a standard thing.
Right.
And there's so many manufacturers.
Yes.
I like Bon Pilates as one of the European manufacturers. And I use Balanced Body.
Interesting. Great.
And I like easy, I don't want to and I think a lot of our movements have gotten maybe larger. So I don't get straps all over me like I can in the guards. I don't enjoy that.
I want to be mindful of the time, Lolita. I know we're almost going to be out of time soon, but one of the themes in your book that struck me so much was your resiliency and your strength and determination. I know that at a young age, your dad had passed, and a quote that you had written was that you've never had to struggle to conquer negative emotions based on fear. He taught you not to fear, and that from that you learned from your mom selflessness, resourcefulness, determination, and love. And repeatedly through the book, through things that happened in your life until even now coming onto Zoom, you've demonstrated such resiliency, strength, and determination to do what you wanted to do. And I just, number one, I applaud that. I think that's just amazing. And the whole book had such a tone of positivity, and that you always appreciated and your family, your friends. It sounds like you traveled and lived your life. Julian Littleford said you were like the Energizer Bunny. I think you're probably still like the Energizer Bunny, right?
Only COVID stops me.
Yeah, but not even. You're online.
Right.
And that you saw Joe, even though he had bad days and depression, you saw that he had a glass half full perspective. Do you see that? Do you think that?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
I definitely do. I think Joe, till the very end, his eyes will twinkle when he saw an attractive woman come in. Yes, and he loved his liquor, and he loved his food, which at times was not the very best. He was not concerned with diet.
He smokes a lot, right?
Oh my God, 17 cigars a day.
Wow.
Cigarettes. Well, that's what he died from. The smoking really killed him, the emphysema, because that was the one thing that you knew with Joe, that his lungs were congested. When he coughed, you knew it. You heard ugly sound. And some days he couldn't really breathe well. And but and we call those his bad days. And but generally, the day after, or whatever he did, probably drank a quart more, and there he was.
And speaking of drinking, Sylvia said she would love to hear you say what you drink to have this energy. She needs to know. What are your secrets? You have such energy. Do you do Pilates every day?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, religiously. I Pilates every day, not because I want a medal, but because I want to feel well. And I generally enjoy doing it at the end of my day. Sometimes I'm at the apparatus at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
I'm still a
That's a
theater.
long day.
Well, I'm a theater person. I feel great,
True.
wide awake, starting at 10 o'clock to.
Yes, it's a different lifestyle from a time standpoint, that's for sure. Right. Yeah.
I have had to adjust at times, but I can't say that I like it. And well, I love food. I eat everything. I'm very fortunate that way. I digest everything well.
Mhm.
I mostly I'm now having some trouble with arthritis, and that I have a hip implant, and it looks like I may have to have knee surgery of the knee that was hurt in 1958. I call it my Pilates knee, because yeah, it's starting to really annoy me when I walk. But yes, my glass is full or half full. I mean, there is no sense having it empty. Doesn't pay.
No, it doesn't. And even during COVID, you've kept a positive perspective and grown with your team. And yeah, I've taken classes through your platform, and I've loved hearing what you've had to teach and learned so much from you. So thank you for everything you've done.
Say,
Yeah.
don't preoccupy yourself. Pre means before. Occupy, when you need to occupy, you occupy. Before,
That is great advice. I love that. Thank you so much, Lolita, for taking the time to be with us and to share your stories and to pass your story along in this book. I loved learning about your life and history, and it's been such a valuable experience to be able to talk to you. So thank you.
Well, I do hope you read my Enchanted Life. And besides my Enchanted Life, I
show the book to everybody.
I recommend that you read Caged Lion, and it is John Steele's version of his acquaintance with Joe, which is his relationship, even though he was a student of Joe's, was quite different from mine, since he was a lawyer, and they used to be together on a personal level and walking in the park and so on. And also you should read the Romana's book. It's right now I can't remember the title. Can you
the book by
Romana
Kathy Barker-Strack?
Strack.
Yes, Kathy Strack's book. Oh my gosh, and Nabi, the exact title was Romana's
Love
All Around. Thank you.
Love All Around.
We did that for book club last month. Yes.
Well, Love All Around will also open up other views of Joe and the method itself. And I think the more we are aware of how special our method is, the more we appreciate it and the more we enjoy it. And we really have an obligation to spread it. Spread it. Don't be selfish with it. No, we have to get that out of there so that people do it. People are familiar with it and they do it, and there is constantly the ability to learn it and learn it well and pass the word on. That was what he wanted. The whole world should do his method. And that's what we would love to have. Also, you will benefit from it, and you will certainly benefit others, which is very important.
I love the idea of world peace through Pilates. Lolita. That's what we're going to have.
Wouldn't that be
Everybody will be happier, right? If they do their Pilates. Yes.
Are there any questions on the chat room? Because I don't know about you, but we have this usually for the 2.5 hours. So,
Oh, ours is usually only one through Pilatesology. There was a lot of just saying thank you to bring it to the schools, bring it to, I know you had written in your book, the hospitals, the military, and a lot of people would love to be able to meet you in person live. And Kelly asked if we could take a screenshot. I don't know if we can get a full screenshot, Nabi. Is that possible?
I can try if everyone.
If we go off, if we go off the save.
Yeah, I'm ready anytime. So I guess.
And Amber wanted to say something. Amber?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing Lolita and us to come onto your platform to speak about my enchanted life. We love that Lolita has an opportunity to get out there to so many more people. And if you want to meet Lolita personally, you can always join her on Wednesday. Now, that's as personal as we're getting these days. But she definitely shares an intimacy from start to finish. As you can see, it's always like what's in her heart is out her mouth, and she is sharing it with all. So
Amber,
thank you again for that.
What time is that Wednesday class? What I can't remember. Is it 12?
Same time as right now. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's Lolita's magic time.
Oh, good.
Everything we start is at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And Lolita's classes go for 90 minutes, and then there's a chat after. So you can always ask questions about what you've just done in the class. She talks it through with you, and you just have the opportunity to get to understand and hear it right from her mouth. It's so different than hearing it from one of us that she told us, and now we're telling you as an educator. When you've got the opportunity and she's still here and willing, take advantage of it. The other thing I was going to say was,
how would someone be able to access that class? Where do they go to find that?
So you can go to Lolita Pilates Goes Online, and you can sign up for a membership, or you could go to Eventbrite and search Lolita Pilates and buy individual classes. It's a lot better deal on the membership. However, there's recordings always on the membership. She really did. We went back and forth on how to do the membership, and her husband Haram won out, and he said, make it affordable for everybody at all times. Let all the people come as much as they want for less money, and that's what
thank you to Haram.
Thank you to Haram is right. The other piece is if we put it in gallery view, then we can take a couple screenshots and put them in a side-by-side fashion, Nabi, is what I was thinking.
Okay, I think that now I have one screen of people.
Oh, good. So people left?
Yeah, so I'm
a couple.
I guess one, two, three, cheese.
Everybody. Cheese.
Okay, I took a couple, and I'll put them in the chat right now.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nabi. And Lolita, thank you again for your time. And we have so many questions, we might have to do this again.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, everybody.
And please do include me in whatever you do with my colleagues, because I'm always fascinated by it. And
Most certainly.
And I congratulate you on the job you're doing. And I think it's so necessary.
Thank you so much, Lolita. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you from Chicago.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Are you leaving meeting? Who is?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I just wanted to upload the screenshots to everyone.
Yeah, okay.
They're available in the chat now if you can easily download that. But thank you. I'll be ending the meeting now. Bye, Lolita. Thank you so much.
Bye, Lolita.
And
Bye, Lolita. Greetings from
Bye-bye.
Austria.
And lovely meeting you, Navi.
Yes, so lovely meeting you, Lolita. I hope we can meet again soon.
I hope so too.
Bye.